This is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Democratic Socialist Congresswoman from New York's 14th District. AOC is a member of the House Oversight Committee, arguably the most influential and most important panel in the House of Representatives. At the start of the 118th Congress, Jamie Raskin became the Oversight Committee's ranking member, the highest-ranking member of the minority party, i.e. the Democrats. AOC became the vice-ranking member. But for the 119th Congress, Raskin decided to run against Jerry Nadler for the top Democrat spot in the Judiciary Committee, which means there was a vacancy in oversight. And AOC decided that she was going to go for the ranking member spot. Jerry Connolly, an 8-time congressman from Virginia who has been on oversight since 2009, also threw his hat into the ring. And spoiler alert, House Democrats voted for Connolly over AOC by a vote of 131 to 84, and members of leftist media did not take it well.
We have the result. 131 to 84. Connolly wins.
Oh, there you go.
And it's one of the most bananas decisions I've ever seen in my life. It's just such a misunderstanding of what matters in politics.
They have to figure out who's actually in touch with the people, and there are other members who've said she's the one. She's got a huge following.
That's right. And in fact, when Congressman Connolly won, there was a lot of reaction online and social media saying Democrats still have not learned their lesson in terms of what happened in this election.
Like this party, what does it stand for other than deferring to seniority? Truly. Like this was an enormous opportunity to put her at the forefront and give her actual power within the caucus. I can't believe this.
So Democrats didn't reward AOC the top spot of the most powerful committee in the House because of very legitimate reasons, all of which self-inflicted by AOC, which we'll get to in a little bit. But instead of holding AOC accountable, it was everyone else's fault.
Dan, on last Friday's episode, we were both encouraged by reporting that AOC basically had the votes to get the gig, and we're pretty excited about it. What do you think happened?
Nancy Pelosi.
Jerry Connolly won that vote today, and he did so thanks in part to former Speaker Nancy Pelosi whipping votes for him.
It is said that and reported that Speaker Pelosi was one of the people. I mean, Jasmine Crockett also went for a seat, did not get it. You're seeing younger voices be largely set aside.
But now Pelosi whipped votes to make sure that Connolly got the oversight job over the young star in the party, even as the 84-year-old Pelosi is recovering from hip surgery after suffering a fall. It feels like a moment of genuine madness.
You know what's so fun? What's so fun is that Nancy Pelosi is not the Speaker of the House anymore. She's Speaker Emerita. And now we have a woman who is 84 years old calling the shots behind the scenes as shadow leader, undercutting Hakeem Jeffries. And I'm sure he's in favor of a lot of this. But still, it's bad optics for leadership to have her operating in this way.
Well, maybe AOC should have thought twice before high-fiving protesters who unlawfully stormed Nancy Pelosi's office and demanded action on climate change. Turns out that actions have consequences. Womp womp. So the left isn't just going after Nancy Pelosi for having an opinion, but they're also, not so subtly, attacking Jerry Connolly's age and health condition.
Connolly, who is 74 and was just diagnosed with esophageal cancer, beat back a challenge from 35-year-old progressive Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez amid calls for a new generation of leadership in the Democratic Party.
Connolly has been a longtime member of Oversight, which is primarily responsible for investigations, though he did sadly announce in November that he has esophageal cancer. This means the Democrats will be replacing 61-year-old Jamie Raskin, who will now be on the top Democrat on Judiciary, with someone even older.
As Democrat Don Bayer of Virginia, a Connolly ally, put it, quote, Jerry's a young 74, cancer notwithstanding.
84-year-old Pelosi pushing a 74-year-old man with cancer to undercut the top, probably most popular young politician in this country right now among anybody under 40 with their base.
Although, to be fair, who knows how long he'll be able to last in that position, given he's fighting cancer and he's 74. I don't know, older people with cancer, things seem to not go too well in that scenario.
Well, gee, then everyone is upset for nothing. He'll be gone soon. It's just a matter of time. Imagine a Republican commentator saying that about anyone fighting cancer. But you know, when Democrats do it, it's different. Anyway, to back up their argument that Connally is too old to hold a top spot on oversight, these geniuses brought up past examples of figures in Washington who overstayed their welcome.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, in her 80s, refused to retire under Obama. In 2014 would have been the opportune time to do so. She was, I think, 80 or 81 at that point. To get a new nominee. Then she died while Trump was in office. He immediately appointed Amy Coney Barrett.
You would think that would have been enough for Democrats to start taking the age issue seriously, but it was not. In April of last year, President Joe Biden announced he was running for re-election, even though he was the oldest man to ever serve as president, and was also clearly having a hard time communicating at the level necessary to occupy the bully pulpit.
But I don't seem to recall Chris Hayes, let alone anyone at MSNBC, having an issue with Biden running for a second term. If anything, they were defending him, calling him the best Biden ever.
I've said it for years now. He's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
Chris Hayes and MSNBC propped up Joe Biden and gaslighted the American people for the better part of 4 years about Biden's ability to run the country and his physical and mental health. But now they're all suddenly concerned about age. In fact, it's an emergency.
But as a general matter, this is a very risky undertaking for everyone. And Democrats are not taking this issue seriously, despite everything that's happened, but they need to.
This gerontocratic leadership is literally killing us. It is killing us.
So putting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at the head of a committee is going to keep the Democrat Party from dying. Have you actually seen AOC in a House committee?
Mr. Holman, with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're in the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
Oh man, more of that, please. And not surprisingly, no one is making the case that she would be the most effective at the job, because she wouldn't be. The argument is that AOC should be ranking member because she's super popular.
35-year-old Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, widely regarded as one of the party's best messengers, certainly the one with the biggest reach.
There is one role where communications matters the most, or two roles, I guess, where communication matters the most in Congress. And it is on the Judiciary Committee and the Oversight Committee. And so let's use our brains and try to think strategically about who we should put in those positions.
Everyone needs to know that, like, if you cannot get attention, and attention is not like putting out your press releases and giving your board press conference and doing something at the whatever, like, then you're just not going to be heard and we're just not going to win.
She is brilliant in communicating the way that we now need to be communicating to the people that we now need to be communicating with.
So they're painting AOC as one of the best, if not the best, communicator that the Democrats have to offer. But we know better.
But we have to go into this vote eyes wide open. What did the Senate majority fight for? One of the largest corporate bailouts with as few strings as possible in American history. Shameful. The greed of that fight is wrong for crumbs, for our families. And the option that we have is to either let them suffer with nothing or to allow this greed and billions of dollars, which will be leveraged into trillions of dollars, to contribute to the largest income inequality gap in our future. There should be shame about what was fought for in this bill and the choices that we have to make.
Gentlelady's time's expired.
And I yield.
Yes, let's allow an emotional toddler to lead the Democrats in the Oversight Committee. What could possibly go wrong?
It reveals a mindset among Democrats that they are missing, that attention is the only thing that matters right now. Or not the only thing that matters, but attention is the first thing that matters. Because if you cannot get attention in this media environment, your message cannot be heard.
Oh, she would get attention, that's for sure. But likely not the kind of attention that would help Democrats.
And this idea of a bootstrap. You know, this idea and this metaphor of a bootstrap started off as a joke because it's a physical impossibility to lift yourself up by a bootstrap, by your shoelaces. It's physically impossible.
So one of the reasons why AOC wasn't handed a committee leadership role is her relationship with the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, i.e. the DCCC. The DCCC is the fundraising arm of House Democrats, and every congressperson is supposed to contribute. But despite having millions of dollars on campaign cash on hand, AOC had repeatedly refused to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in required D-Trip dues.
Shameful. The greed.
I think she has been very smart, especially in recent years, on which battles to pick, how to talk to voters, open to people who have different opinions. I think that she's very, very thoughtful. And she's really, I mean, I was always impressed with her, but she's impressed me even more the longer she's been in Congress. So that's number one.
Oh, sure. She was so thoughtful that while refusing to pay her dues, she threw her weight and a considerable amount of money behind the Justice Democrats, a progressive political action committee whose main goal is to primary sitting Democrats who the left determines aren't progressive enough. And it took more than 5 years for AOC to make her first contribution to the DCCC. I mean, of course she has to now. I mean, she wants something in return. So she's not exactly a team player. Yet left-wing Democrats think that she deserves to be in leadership.
You have a 74-year-old with esophageal cancer who's never said anything interesting in his life, and he's supposed to lead us in taking on MAGA?
Yeah, AOC has said some interesting things, all right. Let's take a look, shall we?
So why is this uptick in crime happening? Well, let's think about it. The fact that people are at a level of economic desperation that we have not seen since the Great Recession. They're put in a position where they feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry that night. And then when someone decides to steal a loaf of bread, we put them in a cage.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
Americans have the sticker shock of healthcare as it is. And what we're also not talking about is why aren't we incorporating the cost of all the funeral expenses of those who die because they can't afford access to healthcare?
We're at the oldest point in American history.
I think that it's wrong that a vast majority of the country does not make a living wage. I think it's wrong that you can work 100 hours and not feed your kids. We need to invent technology that's never even been invented yet. I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
The economy is going pretty strong, right? There's roughly 4% unemployment, 3.9% unemployment. Well, unemployment is low because everyone has 2 jobs.
So yeah, it would probably be a mistake for Democrats to make her ranking member of anything. But at the same time, please make her ranking member because it would be hilarious and really help my channel out a lot. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you next time, if there is next time.